everybody. We've got another very special guest for you all. I want everybody to welcome to the show Corissa Grant. Welcome, Corissa.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on by and talking comics with me. So, Corissa, I mean, for all of our new timer or first timers, newcomers, we put them through the gauntlet, and that is the origin story. So let's hear yours. Where's your beginning with comics, and how'd you get to this point where you're like, I want to create these things?
Okay, so comics started in the 90s when I was a teenager. My older brother, Ghost Rider. I was obsessed with Ghost Rider, and that got me to love comics. But in all honesty, after the 90s, I kind of like went away from the mainstream and I wasn't really paying attention to it. And I got into gaming. So I became obsessed with Resident Evil 2. And in the stupidest way
Okay.
possible, I was watching a commercial and have you played Resident Evil 2?
I have. Yes.
So do you know when the crocodile comes out of the sewer to get Leon?
Mhm.
That is the only thing that I remember in the commercial, and it made me want to buy it. So like I didn't even own PlayStation 1. I didn't own it. Like I played Nintendo, Duck Hunt, I played Atari, but I had never played play. So I literally went out, bought PlayStation 1, rented the game, came home, no instructions at all in the game. And Leon just kept walking into the fire, and I was so mad at this thing that I just threw the controller. My older brother comes in, picks it up, starts playing because he's been playing Zelda since he was walking. And then I kicked him out. I was like, "Get the hell out of my room!" And I started playing. I was obsessed with it. Like I played all the way through. I think I did all the way through Leon and maybe all the way through Claire before I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go buy it." It's like I went out, I bought it. I bought for some reason the same day Final Fantasy VII. Came home and then played. And I was so mad because I'm going through the instructions and I was like, "There's an auto aim." Like I was like, I didn't know it was an auto aim. Anyway, I was so obsessed with it that I actually later on when I learned about role playing online, I actually role played as Claire Redfield for 15 years online. Um, so I wrote as Claire Redfield, and nobody knows this, but I also played as Wesker. So anyone that played 20 years ago, that was me. Somebody somewhere is going to know that and be like, "I knew it." But
Was that like on a message board kind of thing,
yeah,
or
yeah, it was like,
okay?
so I'm dyslexic. So originally when I started, and to be honest with you, it's so long now that I can't even remember how to do one-liners, but I was a one-liner. And I can't believe that I did one lines, but I did one lines for like 2 years, and then I progressed to like three lines, and then I was like a paragraph and then multi-pair. And now I could do 6,000 words in a sitting. So I've obviously progressed slightly. So for this story, I was role playing and I held on to this idea of an angelic weapon. And I don't know why, it was just an idea I had. And I had, like, I was role playing with people that for like, I think the longest was 3 years, and they all wanted to do it. And I was like, nope, holding on to it. And I was like, "What are you holding on to it for?" I was like, "I have no idea." So I held on to it. And then I met my co writer. And like 24 hours after I met her, I was like, "Do you want to take a role?" And she's like, "I've never taken a role, but yeah, I'll take it." So I said, "Okay." I sent her a 4,000 word starter, and that was it. It in 2.5 years, we're still writing. And a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we passed our 1 million word mark in the story. Um, and after we realized, or I said to her, "Did you know that we have about 10 novels written for this
Wow.
story?" And she's like, "Holy crap." So I was like, "We should do something with this." So we were going to um, print it, but it's not like a novel. So we had gotten an editor and we're like, "Would someone, would anyone read this because of the way it's written?" And she's like, "No, you'd have to merge the story and do all this." And we didn't want to do that. So I decided to print it out just for us. And I decided I'm going to spoil us and get a cover done. So I went to go hire an artist on Fiverr or Upwork or whatever. And they were all cartoony. All these arts were cartoony. And I said to her, we role played with actors in mind. So I was like, "Should I look for more realistic or should I just do the cartoony?" She's like, "I don't mind cartoony." And then like a light bulb went off, and I was like, "If you don't mind cartoony, we could do a comic book." And she's like, "Okay." So like an idiot, I was like, "How hard could it be?" Um, and
Famous last words.
yeah, yeah. I was like, how hard could this be? I was just thinking, like, I was the most naive. This is only 7 months ago, and I feel like it's been like 7 years. But I was like, yeah, how hard could this be? I hired an artist, not this one, but I hired an artist, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And then I went to bed that night. This is literally the same day that I decided to do this, that I hired some guy. And then I was going to bed and I was texting my co-writer and I was like, I don't know how to do a script. Like, I have like no clue. I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, you'll figure it out. So I get up and I write, like, I watch like a 20-minute YouTube video on it. And I wrote a script. And then I was like, I gave it to a letter. And the letter was like, did you want to see any of the art? Or did you just want like all dialogue? And I was like, oh, good call. So like my first script was 3 scripts. So I was way ahead of the game. So yeah, so I got screwed over my first artist, unfortunately and fortunately at the same time, but they stole 3 grand from me. Then I tried to fix it for 2 grand and then decided to, I did print it. I sold a couple of copies to friends and stuff. And then I was like, I hate it. Um, so I searched for this artist and I had spent so much money trying to find him that I was so annoyed at that part that I was like I don't want to say skeptical, but I was like, I don't want to deal with anybody. I spent thousands of dollars on, like, designs and everything. So finally, I just posted it on Facebook, and I was like, if anyone wants to do a test page for free, because I really didn't care at this point. I was like, if you want to do a test page for free, if I like it, if my characters look good, I'll hire you, pay you for the page, and then we'll go from there. Um, and I had 5 people that agreed. So five, hi Katie. so five, so 5 people were working on it, and this current artist came up. I say come up to me like I'm freaking a teenager. Messaged me and said, "Are you still taking submissions?" And I was like, "Well, I'll make a deal with you. You either hand in a free submission, and I'll look at it first, or you wait till all of them are done. And if I don't pick any of them, I'll pay you for a page." And he's like, "I'll give you a free one." In 24 hours, he had sketched, inked, colored, and lettered 4 or 5 panels, and it looked phenomenal. And I was like, "You're hired." Like, I was like, I paid everyone else to go away, and I loved it. And so for this series one, there's 45 to 50 issues written, and that completes series one. It's 5 books. It's 5 of the 10. The other. Well, now we have like 11 or 12 books, but the another 5 is the spinoff. And so this one is the 5 books, and it's 7 issues for the first one. Right now we're on issue 6, and book 2 is 7, and book 3 is 10, and then it's like 12 and 15. Um, but yeah, my artist Jonas Acosta. This is his first job. His art is phenomenal, and his panel work is just, you would never know. You think he's been doing this his whole life.
Hmm.
So I got really incredibly lucky, and he's nice and loyal because we've been doing this for 7 months. Like, it seems like 7 years. But he actually went and redid one. So his first one he worked on was 2, and then he did 3, and then I was like, you have to redo one, even though like 20 people's like, oh, you could just keep one, it's fine. I was like, no, he has to redo one. So he actually went and redid one, and now he's working on 6 is already done and in hand, and 7 he's like, I think he's in the process of coloring the last of it. So it's pretty fast.
And I guess it'd be a good time to ask, what book are you talking about?
Yeah, that would probably make sense. So the book is called Worthy Chaos Redemption, and it is a Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural and Silent Hill in the Resident Evil world. Um, what's a little bit unique, and I'm going to say this now because I always forget it. The story. So I write the story, and I write everything. Serafina, her thoughts, her actions, her speech. My co-writer writes everything Draven. So when you're reading the story and you're reading the dialogue or whatever, it is completely 2 different people. So I'm not that good of a writer. They have 2 completely different people, because everyone's like, "Oh, it's like 2 different people." It's like, funny story. So yeah, it's because we're role players. So everything Draven is her, and everything Serafina. My character is an angel descendant supernatural hunter, and Draven is a demon descendant assassin. And I don't know if you want me to go right into explaining the first issue, or if you want me to wait, or
Uh, no, go ahead if you want to go ahead and
sure.
spoil some of it or whatever you want to do.
So yeah, this is like the first 4 pages, so this is to explain how chaotic this freaking story is. um so it starts off with a dream of them when they were teenagers, and they were going to run away together, which is something that was going to happen in the prequel that we wrote. So they're going to run away together, and Draven had to leave and get a weapon to get her away from her family. She wakes up and she sees her brother, who was possessed by a demon, killing her parents. So she calls Draven, says, "Don't come to the house." And of course, the first thing he does is come to the house. She jumps out the back window. He goes in the front door. He slips on her blood. She hears him call her. She turns around and gets hit by a car and put in a coma for a couple months, and he gets arrested for her murder. That's like the first 4 pages. And they both thought the other was dead for 10 years. So she trained as a supernatural hunter to get back at her brother for taking away Draven, and he became an assassin instead of going to jail. And he was so heartless and without her anyway. So it was kind of the thing that happened. So the story touchingly starts where Draven moves closer to where she is, and because they're soulmates, them being close set off an alert to demons and angels that have been searching for the two of them, well, mostly her. So an angel tricks her to go into town, and then the demons trap them in the town and merge it with hell. So it's kind of like Silent Hill. They can't leave. There's no roads. If you watch when she's walking, there's a crack forming behind her. We have little details like that, like in the very beginning. When you watch like any kind of movie, and the person wakes up or whatever, turns on the TV, and it's exactly what they need to hear for exposition, like the exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So we
turn
kind
on
of,
CNN and it's
yeah,
that exact thing they need to
exactly
look
the
at. Yeah.
answer to what they've been looking for. Or the problem. So we kind of played on that, but if you look at the TV, it's actually unplugged. So it's the angel outside the window that's causing the news to happen. And on the next page, he hints to that, where he's like, "You're going there anyway." And she's like, "How did he know I was going there?" So when she gets to town, the town merges, and then everything comes after them. They run into each other. He thinks it's a dream the whole time. She just thinks it's a trick. And they get chased by ghost, hellhounds, zombie mermen, Anubis, everything you could possibly think of in this town. And their fathers are there. So you have Draven's father, who's a demon, and her father, who's an angel. He's not much better though. So, but their whole goal is to get the angelic weapon away from her. That they don't even know that. I mean, my two characters don't even know that they have this. They think it's a keychain that she gave to Draven as a present years ago, because that's all she had. But it actually has the power of souls. And if they can get it away from her, they can tip the war between heaven and hell in either one's favor. There's actually another reason they want it, but you don't find out for a long time. So now we're just kind of following along. It's kind of like a survival horror, the two of them. They're just trying to survive through town, and everything that happens. They're pretty much they're pawns. They're being, played and manipulated and tortured. Which, sorry. But for now, we're in issue 6. That's the campaign that's live now. And 4, 5, and 6 is kind of like we introduce our clotters, which is a subspecies of vampires. And our vampires are a little bit different. That's why they're subspecies. So someone says that's not a vampires, but they're a little bit different. Their heart beats every 6 hours, so they have, which is just enough to keep off rigor mortis. So they have thicker blood, which makes them stronger, but it also makes them need more protein. So they can only feed directly from a human. They can't feed from a bag or animals or anything. If they don't feed directly from a human, they start to decompose like a zombie. The only problem is that they have their consciousness, so they actually feel guilty. So if they're turned and they're good people, they would more, a lot of the times they just decompose instead of killing another human. So to save the species, generally clotters only change more ruthless people, like serial killers or murderers or sociopaths, anyone that they can do that will go and kill other people. And besides that, they have this very annoying habit that if they taste or bite you, If they taste your blood or bite you, they can track you anywhere you go, like a homing beacon. And if you kill one of them, they'll track you down until they kill you. So that's exactly what happened in 4 and 5. And now in 6, their whole thing is trying to track down every single vampire that was in the nest so that they don't come after her and try to kill her. So it's pretty much them against a group of vampires, clotters in this issue. So
So I see. I mean, you sent me some images from past issues and everything. I was looking through them, and obviously you're talking a lot about heaven and hell. So we get a lot of like Christian mythology, obviously put into this book. But then like it's chapter 4 where it's very Egyptian mythology, like a pharaoh mummy thing going on. So
Anubis.
yeah, Anubis. So I mean, talk a little bit about that. Uh, about adding in all the different mythologies together as
Yeah.
opposed to like kind of just sticking with one.
So the eventually all, oh, not all, but I mean most of the religions, Celtic, Greek, they will be in this. For now, Anubis is actually being controlled by her father. If you look at what he's holding or look on the belt that he has an anklet which has the runes that spell out Anubis. So that's why Anubis is doing what he wants. He, but the reason why he's able to use Anubis is because hell is merging with the town. So he actually used that to bring him up. But he actually has a very large part to play in it. And later on in series 2, there's actually a war between heaven and hell together against Hecate and Hades and their zombie army, and then Anubis and his army of mummies that team up with my characters. Um, and it's kind of funny because my characters don't like that because they've been fighting, zombies and all that stuff this whole time, and now they're like side by side with them, which does not go well. And I think Draven probably kills half of them anyway. So, but they're dead already, so it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, we use a lot, and we did a lot of research. So all the demons are angels, unless like we did them creatively, like the clotters. They actually are accurate, their job wise, to scriptures. Like Remnal, which is her father, is not only the angel that he used to judge souls on earth and then take them to heaven, which is the whole thing that started it, because I was joking and I said, how does he carry them in his pocket? And that's when I created the angelic weapon. So not only is he that, he's also the angel that in scripture went against God and created the first Nephilim, which is half angel, half human, which was a sin. So that's, we kind of use that, a play on it, because he creates Seraphina. So Seraphina is she's half angel and half Celtic goddess and human. So it's kind of like a mixture of all put together. And Draven was created solely for the purpose of getting the weapon from her, but he fell in love with her anyway. And so there's more angels come in. Kemiel, that is the one that kind of leads her to the town. He was supposed to be their guardian. He was their guardian angel in their past life. He was he is in scripture the angel of um, uh, true love and conflict resolution, because you can't have one without the other. And so he was meant to protect them, and he'll hint towards it, and you can hear some of the things he said. The father faked the prophecy. Originally, the prophecy was if an angel and a demon ever fell in love, they could never be separated, or war on earth between heaven and hell would start. So the father faked it to trick the guardian angel to go after them, because he was the only one that could get to them and harm them. So he tricked them and said that angel and demon ever fell in love, they had to be separated or the war would start. So he separated them. And I won't say, because it's incredibly gruesome, but you find out later on how he does it and what he does. But he separates them, and it created a hell on earth, and Draven's the one that caused it. And he got sent to hell, and then this is them being reincarnated. But it's kind of like all this stuff happened to cause this, that you kind of get hints to as you go along. But the demon Asmin, which is Draven's father, he wasn't in scripture with Remnel, but it worked out so perfectly because he's a chaos demon that fed on souls, and he would literally feed off of souls on the bridge of judgment. However, the funny thing is, and this was just pure luck, we didn't do this on purpose, his quote unquote powers in scripture is he's immune to lightning, and Remnel, his power is lightning. So it was the perfect counterpart to fight against Remnel because it has to be on an even playing field. There's no powers between them that they can to fight back and forth. So it's kind of cool that if you look any of these up, you can see their things that they go through. Like Anubis has the power to control the dead. He has the power to go through portals, which we use in book 3. And the books are all connected. There's 5 books, and I've been asked this a lot, if they're single stories or connected, but they are connected to just different environments, kind of like a new thing that happens. So like from 1 through 7, which is now, they're stuck in the town. And at the end of 7, they go into and get trapped in a haunted asylum that's overrun by ghosts and zombies and giant salamanders, which is our version of the lickers from Resident Evil 2, that crawl around the ceiling and they're really gross. So 2 is basically that. They're in there and then they, get out of town. And then book 3 is Resident Evil 2, pretty much. They're trapped in a zombie infested town. It's not what it seems to be, but to them it's a zombie infested town. And they meet up with 2 other survivors and they try to get through a military hospital, and they do go underground. They try to find through the labs and all this stuff. So it's very Resident Evil 2-esque. And then 3 and 4, a lot happens. I don't know if you've ever seen Code Veronica, but it's a better version of Code Veronica. And they're on an island and they actually go to hell, they go to heaven, they go to all these different things, but they're pretty much trapped on this island. So each book has its like own little thing going on.
And you said that you two had like over 50 issues planned out?
Not planned, written. We
Oh,
have
written and done.
Yeah, so this series is already written and done. It's 50 issues. They're still being converted. Right now, I just started converting chapter or issue 19. So I know how many there are per each, because it seems that an issue is pretty much about 10,000 words. And it's been pretty clear cut on that. But that's why if you notice, I don't know if you notice, but our pages are never, that's my fault. I'm the one that converts them. Our pages are never accurate. Like, I think 1 is 28, 2 and 3 are 32 pages. 4 was 28, I think. And then 5 was the shortest at 24. 6 is 36. Yeah, 36. And then 7's like 40. So because I stop at certain points and I just like, well, 4 more pages, it's only hundreds of dollars. So
Exactly.
but I never
I
charge
kind of
more. So
I kind of like that though, because like I was talking to somebody about this with streaming services, where I like that like we're no longer restricted to the in comics at 22 pages, or
oh yeah.
in terms of the streaming service, like we're no longer restricted to the 22-minute block. Now we can
Yeah,
just tell the story.
yeah.
And sometimes
I
it
mean,
doesn't work out with big corporations and everything, but with you indie people, it's great because
do
you can do
whatever I
whatever you
want.
want in that one issue.
Yeah, and someone was like complaining, not someone that bought the book, but someone on a podcast was complaining, like, oh, people like consistency. I was like, yeah, I don't charge extra, and I seriously doubt that 12 extra pages for the same price is going to piss anyone off. So, I could have I could have put issue 7, I could have did 2 issues, but I couldn't find a perfect spot in the middle of it. I can't just end it and be like, you're done. It has to be, well, first of all, we have to torture everyone with a cliffhanger. And, second, you can't do it in the middle of an action thing. You can't do it in the middle of a, talking thing. So I was like, screw it. I'll just do it. Not only that, I wanted it to end on Halloween because Halloween is 1 year in comics and 1 year since I started with my artist. So that would be my cat you hear if you hear her crying. But so it's kind of like, oh, let's finish book 1, and then January 23rd starts book 2, and we'll have the hardcover, hopefully, if it goes well, hardcover graphic novel as book 1 available on that one, and then you can get issue 1 of the book 2. But yeah, we're hoping to do every other month. I just don't know if my fans can afford it. They're very loyal, but they're also very broke. So we'll see how it goes. But my artist is really fast and they're already written, so it's not feasible or anything for us to do longer. I did give everyone Christmas off. See, I'm nice. So it's like I don't have November and December, and then it starts late January. So people can waste their money on other stuff other than me. But yeah, so I'm very quick to get stuff out. My last campaign ended on a Monday, and by Saturday I had 95% of the things shipped out. Um, and I don't even get paid for Kickstarter for 2 weeks.
I was
So
gonna say it's brave.
well, that's yeah. Well, the payments went through. So
Yeah.
but also, credit cards are a hell of a thing. So
I've never heard of Kickstarter like not sending people money, but I'm the type that's like until I get mine.
well, you know what it is? It's my fault because the day my campaign ends, my next one starts in 4 weeks. So all the new people need to get there so they can read it and see if they want to get in the next campaign. I am also an incredibly impatient person, so I hate making others wait. So yeah, I just pretty much got them out. I had comics arrive on the Saturday, and then I started bagging them on a Saturday. Um, and I make my husband take like 3 trips to the post office. So it worked out great. But yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's great because that shows the audience a level of not only a level of trust, but then they're like, "Damn, like this thing happened," and probably within the week, I have my book. Like most,
Yeah. Yeah.
I guarantee 99% of Kickstarters don't do that.
No, they don't. And
Yeah.
most of my friends don't even have their books done before, but I won't do it until I have it in hand. And I know I had somebody be like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." Okay, I do because I need to make sure the book's in great condition. I need to make sure that it's printed right. I need to make sure that I can send it on time. So how I work is like for issue 6, I already have 50 printed and on hand. But I don't print the variants because I don't know how many people will buy or whatever. And with my luck, I'd order like 25 and they'll be like 26. So like I don't order variants. But when my campaign ends, I actually pay a lot more to get my 6-day printing. So like I ordered it on a Monday and it arrived on a Saturday. That's how quick I get it after I print it, after I order it. And yeah, it costs a little bit more, but I really want to get these into people's hands. I'm trying to build an audience. I need them to stay around for 50 issues. So I want them to understand that I'm here for the long haul. And hopefully keeping my house during that whole time. But if you ever do a podcast in the future and these aren't in the background, I'm probably at a library because I got rid of my house because I couldn't afford it. But we're gonna try to keep the house while we do this. But yeah, we're so far the Kickstarters have been really well. Um, I get nervous every single time because I think it's too soon for the same people to do it. But here's hoping it keeps keep going up. We had our first Kickstarter, which I call a soft opening because I didn't advertise, I didn't go on podcast. I was the most naive person you could ever know. And so I had like 34 backers. And then that was the old artist. And then the new artist came in and I did 1 through 3 all together. And I had 78 backers. So I was like thrilled. And then my campaign after that had 92 and my last one now just had 115. So I was like, I passed 100. So I was like, I was thrilled. So the Kickstarter, the backer number is more important to me. I mean, I obviously need the money. But I really want to get readers in. So even if people come in and spend $5 to read the PDFs or whatever, I always have, which I don't know why not everyone does, but I always have an issue 1 tier, both PDF and printing, and I also have the current issue. So for this campaign, you'll see issue 1 PDF, issue 6 PDF, issue 1 printed, issue 6 printed. And the reason why I do that is because all of the back issues are available on the add-ons, even the variants, whichever available. And that way, if they just want to get issue 1, they don't want to invest a lot of money, then you don't have to buy a catch-up tier. Like ketchup tiers are my most popular. This time I had, I think, over 20 were new people and ketchup tiers. But if you don't want to, I had people just buy PDF 1 or the printout for the printed 1, and then you don't have to invest. Or some people did 1 and then they bought the 2 for the back issue because it's the first one Anubis is in, and they're like, I want to read Anubis. So I do have options. I also am merch queen. Apparently, I've been getting called, and it's not a bad name. I've been called worse things. So But I have my plushies, which is this is my Anubis plushie. I think there's only two left, and I won't be making more. So two left. I only made eight, and two of those are for me and my co-writer. Um, but he does come with his little staff that he holds. Um, but this campaign is the first time we're going to have the skeleton bird, and there's only one available because I had three made, one for me, one for my co-writer, one for people. My zombie merman plushie, and I have my demon plushie, and I have my rat plushie. And then I also have lots of merch. And I have handmade statues made out of clay. I have 3D printed statues. I think like three different kinds or four different kinds. I have pillows. I have metal covers, metal trading cards, metal bookmarks, and stickers galore, keychains, buttons, hats. I mean, pretty much anything. And I get roasted all the time. Like, why do you have so much merch when you're like in this 7 months? And it's because I wanted it, and selling it to them made it tax deductible. So there you go.
Exactly.
Right? It's
That's why
best
you make anything,
online,
is because
man.
you
Like
want
everything's
it.
tax deductible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
So, I mean, you kind of answered my next question, which is going to be about the Kickstarter. So it sounds like you got, a bunch of cool merch. You got all the issues available for people to pick up. So newcomers have something if they're jumping in. So I guess I could skip that one. Uh,
Sorry.
no, you're good. And I'd actually like to know, like you said, you got all these written out and everything. And next year you're going to be going into the next book. Are you going to start that as a new number one and call it like season two or something, or are you going to continue the numbering and try to get 50
So
something
I was
issues out of it?
debating back and forth, but I am restarting it. And the only reason why, well, a couple of reasons why. One, it is a new book. It's, book two, it's chapter one in book two. Not only that, if I was a person coming in and I saw that I was on issue 20, I probably would not back the rest because I wouldn't want to catch up 20, but if you're able to buy a hardcover book and an issue one or two of the next one, then people are more likely to come in, which is me personally how I would be. I mean, if I saw an amazing series that was like, 20, 30, whatever, I might go into it, but I'd be, if I didn't know enough about it, I'd be put off because it's such a high number, and not a lot of people do the graphic novel. You don't know that it's available. So I'll have the hardcover available in January, so people could just buy that. It's going to be $39 for 222 pages, 7 issues, hardcover, and then you could just buy that and go right into book two. Or I'll have the floppies available that they can. A lot of people like the floppies because they're more collectible or whatever. So people have options. But it is book two, so it wouldn't make sense to me. Like, I've had people say, well, it looks better if you are in like issue 20 because they know that you've been doing this for a while. But I'm like, yeah, it'll be inside it. Like, it'll say Worthy Chaos Redemption book two, chapter two, whatever, and then it'll be the Worthy Chaos series issue 16 or whatever. So it'll tell you what it is. But it's book two, and I just think that it makes more sense to start it over. But it was a big controversy between me and like creators, like, which do we do? Do you continue it on or do whatever? But it just makes more sense to me to restart it. So
Yeah, I think in the indie space, there's no question. Restarting it, doing seasons, books, how, whatever
yeah,
word
cut
you
it
want to
down a
use.
little bit.
Yeah, it just makes more sense because, I mean, just honest truths of the world, it's a little bit easier for Spider-Man to be like, hey, it's issue 582. Pick it up or don't. We don't care. It's
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
we don't need you. I need the people, but yeah. Um,
But you guys are trying to build an audience and get all people in these books. And if you can get them on, season two, issue one, then they're like, oh, this is really cool. Go back to season one. Hopefully, so good stuff. So you keep saying that you work with a co-writer too, and I'm always interested in this because when I attempt to write things, I get into a dark, dank tunnel and don't leave and don't want anybody around me. So how does the back and forth go there? Do you guys like sit in a room together and talk it out, or how do you
no,
how you do it?
so we're role players, so it's a little bit different. So how it works is I will write a chapter. Generally between 3 and 8,000 words, depending on my mood or what they're doing in the story. So I'll write this chapter and I include Draven in it, but I don't speak for him. I don't do his thoughts. I generally don't do his actions except for saying he's next to her. He's like, whatever. Or they run or something. But generally, I'm only writing what's happening and what she's thinking or doing. So during my chapter that I'm writing, she'll talk to Draven, but I won't get a response back until after, like until I'm done. So I'll talk to him, or Serafina will talk to him. I'll have my thoughts of what's happening during this. I'll do all the actions that are happening. And then when I'm done, I will send it to my co-writer. My co-writer literally rewrites the chapter, but from Draven's point of view. So now you have it in his eyes where his thoughts, he will answer anything she said. So I get to see what his response would be. I get to know his thoughts on what he was thinking during this that's happening. And I can see any actions he does, whether he shoots or tackles somebody or kills somebody, whatever he's doing, or, whatever. And then she'll write a little bit after that. And then I'll get it back. I'll reply to whatever she added to it. And then I'll start again and do another 3 to 8,000 words and then send it to her and you'll start all over again. And where she writes way better than I do. I am the storyteller, but I don't do the whole show don't tell like you're supposed to. Like you couldn't release my writing as a novel. Hers you totally could. Like she loves my writing, so bless her. But she doesn't think she's a good writer. She's way better than I am. She could write a novel, I could not. But the way I write is perfect for comic books like it was meant to be. Like I literally just have to separate things that I say and there's my script. It's like I say everything that needs to be happening. I describe what's going on. I describe what they're doing and what she's feeling. So I was meant to write a comic book. So it's absolutely perfect for me. But I couldn't do it without her. So, but then I just combine the two. So I combine whatever Draven was talking about when he answered my character and I put them on the page together. And it's slightly the annoying part doing scripts, going back and forth. But it's definitely worth it.
Definitely. That's a cool, unique process.
Yeah, we don't
With
really
two
butt
people.
heads at all. We don't really know where it's going half the time. Like, I literally don't know where it's going when I sit down. Like, I'll just sit down and write and be like, I always say my character's writing it because I don't know what the hell's going on. But, like, I'll send it to her and she's like, that's awesome. I can't wait to see what happens next. It's like, me too. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. We somehow did this for 11 novels. So I don't know how, but the other day so we were just finishing up, the spinoff. The spinoff takes place. It's a what if, kind of if you want to do interdimensional, like what if. We were so in love with our characters that we felt guilty about taking away those 10 years. It was like a torturous thing that haunts them as the story goes because they always go back to we wasted all this time. So as a joke, I wrote out that they ran away before the brother got possessed by a demon and they escaped. And my first thought was, well, this is gonna be boring. You have two teenagers on the run. Who the hell cares? But then I realized everything's still after them. The fathers are after them. Monsters are after them. But now you have a teenage girl that doesn't know anything about supernatural. She doesn't know how to fight. She knows nothing that's going on. He's not an assassin. He doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know what's going on. So you have two teenagers on the run that you get to see them, their bond grow and their powers come out sooner because they have that bond that never breaks. They have these things happen to them and you can see how they start to become stronger and how protective he gets even though he doesn't have the fighting skill that he originally has, and you see them turn into the characters that you get to see in the other one. And it wasn't a planned thing and it kind of went out of control, and now there's 5 books of it, which is another 40 issues. But the funny thing is, and this again wasn't planned, it has all the same characters. However, they respond differently to things. So an ally not that there's many of them, but there's an ally in Redemption turns out to be an enemy in Spinoff because of the circumstances are different. And an enemy or an ally in one turns out to be the opposite in the other one. So it was kind of cool when it was over that I realized that this happened. I was like, do you realize like he's an enemy in this one? He was like their friend in the last one. And it was just the way it turned out to be. It wasn't like on purpose, like, oh, let's screw with everything. But no. Um, Certain things are mirrored. We call it a mirrored verse, even though nothing happens that's the same, like completely different stuff happens, but certain things mirror other things, like meeting the same people even though it's a different environment, um or the fact that they lose their memories in each one due to something completely different reasons, but it still happens and they respond to it completely differently. So it's a completely different story. So I'm hoping to one day release it because it's actually turned out to be incredibly good. Not that I'm biased or anything, but it turned out to be an incredibly good story that I really enjoyed writing, and I just finished it. And the whole point of this is that an incredibly long, way to have a short story. Um, like 3 weeks ago, I had woke up and I was like, I know how this book's gonna end. Like I didn't even need to know how because we were just writing, and I was like, I know how it's gonna end. And I said I wrote 8,500 words, and I was like, okay, this is the ending. And then like literally in the next week, I woke up and I was like, I had no reason to think of what series 2 was going to be like in the spinoff. Redemption is already like 4 issues in or something, but the spinoff I hadn't even bothered to think about it. And I woke up having this really intense dream, and I was like, I know how it's going to start. And I wrote like 2 chapters on it. So yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing until I'm doing it. I don't know if it's good or
I
bad.
mean, it's comics. We love What If.
Right? Oh, I loved
Like,
What If. Like, especially like I have Ghost Rider was my thing, so I have What If Barbara Ketch was Ghost Rider, and yeah, my favorite series was What If. So this was kind of, I was thrilled to write this, even though it started as a joke, and I was like, I'm sure it's going to be boring. Then it turned into like this incredibly insane story that was just awesome and brutal. Sorry.
yeah, some of my favorite books are What If and Elseworlds. Like the whole idea of like, well, what if this happened, or what if they were this? Like it's a cool twist on characters you love. So
Yeah, well, it's mostly because the characters kept saying, "What if we never lost those 10 years?" And I kept thinking, I don't know, what happened if they didn't lose those 10 years? And it actually was worse. Like, and the way that it happened, it was kind of like, but they got to stay together, so I guess it wasn't worse. But they went through more brutal things because they had no training, they had no idea what they were doing. They didn't even know supernatural stuff exists until it completely attacked them. Um, so yeah, it is a really cool story, and I really hope my artist is mad, not mad, but he's like, I said, I wish you could do the spinoff. And he goes, why can't I? Because you've got 50 issues, freak. I was like, you're gonna have like 4 years. And then by the time we already started series 2, so by the time you finish series 1, series 2 is gonna be like probably over. I was like, but if you want to clone yourself, I am more than happy to hire both of you because I don't know if I'm gonna find another person that I can love as much as his work. So we'll see. But yeah, he wants to do it too. But I told him that he likes Angels and Demons. So if worse comes to worse, he can always do the prequel, because prequel Damnation is, you could see the how the feud started between the angel and the demon and how she was created from the weapon and how Draven and her met. So he gets to draw more angels and demons. So he's happy with that. So we'll go with that.
very cool. So you got a big world here that you're building out and everything, which is just
Yeah, it's
sounds
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, other creators are like, "Did you say you have 100 plus issues written?" I was like, "Yes." They're like, "Oh, we never write that far ahead." I was like, "This was not intentional. Like, this was not. We weren't like, let's write some issues. No, this was not. This is not intentional. I'm glad it happened. It just was not intentional." So
Just having fun, and this thing that was really good came out of it.
yeah. Well, I was like, first I was like, I really, this story's too good to waste. And then I was like, but I really want to see it drawn out. So if I was rich, I would just give these away for free. I just want to see it done. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. So I have to charge. But yeah,
Yeah.
slightly obsessed with the story.
So, Carissa, you've been an awesome interview. You know how I know the great interviews that I do is when I say
Uh-huh.
less than a paragraph throughout it. And I think I told you something similar before the show.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
my favorite because then I could just sit back here and be like, "So how's the book?" and relax.
Yeah, that's why I have to ask people how long the show is beforehand, because I'm like, when do I have to stop rambling? I need to have like this cutoff point in my mind to be like, all right, time to shut up. And yeah, so but I appreciate you letting me ramble on about my series.
Definitely, definitely. So the Kickstarter is going on right now as everybody's listening to this. But if they want to follow you further, do you make poor life decisions like being on Twitter or any other social media networks?
Absolutely. My whole life is poor decisions. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, you could obviously find me on Kickstarter. The best way to find me is to search Worthy Chaos. Do yourself a favor and don't search Redemption. It's just Worthy Chaos. We're the only thing that pops up, and you'll see me there. But yes, for Twitter, we have 5.3 thousand followers, and we are at worthy_chaos because somebody stole Worthy Chaos, and they don't even use it, and it's heartbreaking, but whatever. So you can follow me on there. We tweet, or I tweet, covers and rewards and upcoming campaigns and how this it's going and all that fun stuff. And then we also have, if you're on Facebook and you like even more torture, we have a Worthy Chaos group, which has got about, I don't know, we only started it like 5 weeks ago. It's got 660 members in there. I was stupid and made it private, and now you can't undo it. However, I accept everyone in there, and you are allowed to, as a creator, you are allowed to post your Kickstarters when they start and end. And as a artist, you can post your art and get commissions and all that fun stuff. And podcasters come in and they post their links and everything and like that. So we're like it's a Worthy Chaos, and I do post a lot, but everyone can post whatever they want. I always get, is this allowed? Yeah, as long as you're not, cursing someone out, even though obviously my story's all cursing. You can curse, but as long as you're not cursing somebody out, yeah, you can pretty much post anything that but it's fun, comic related, try to
Very
stay away from
cool.
politics and evil things that people don't like. So.
Yes, that is also a wise life decision.
Yes.
So everybody out there watching and or listening, as always, those links are in the show notes down below. So click on them, check out the book, check out the Facebook group, all that stuff, and follow Corissa and her work further.
Yes, please.
Corissa, thank you so much for stopping by, chatting with me. I appreciate it, and best of luck with the campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate it.